Actually, I'm trying. I'm giving an introduction about this tool, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everyone is joined to this Google Classroom. I've sent the code, and only a few of them has joined. Okay. Total strength is 65, but only 40 student has joined right now. Remaining other students are yet to join, but I'm telling that if you are not joined so up to now, kindly join either today, end of today only. Okay. Otherwise, what I will do, I will not going to allow any students who are going to join newly. Okay. I'll deactivate the students who are upcoming. They're going to join for this Google Classroom. Okay. Because whatever I will share, everything will be posted in the classroom itself, in the Google Classroom itself. Okay. Make sure it first. Okay. So, we'll continue the introduction about this Cisco Packet Tracer. It's very user friendly tool. Okay. So why we are using, the very first question is, so even though there are lots of networking tools and softwares are available, why we are using this Cisco Packet Tracer? Okay. So that question may comes in your mind, right? When we have very advanced tools, either NS1, NS2, NS3, JNS3, and ARPANET, NetSIM, Exata, Qualnet, so and so forth. There are lots of networking tools are available. Even Omnet plus plus. There are so many networking tools are available in order to understand or in order to design and implement some networking experiments. Okay, and even also you can verify and validate those things. But the question is why we are using the Cisco Packet Tracer, even though the advanced tools are available. Okay, so the very first question, the answer is, so actually our organization SJC is one of the authorized learning center for Cisco. Okay, so previous days we used to teach the Cisco courses. So we have some Cisco certified course, so what we call CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE. So we used to teach that course, and as well as we also help them to how to prepare themselves for these courses. Okay, see either CCNA, CCNP, or at any level. Okay, probably we always used to teach for the associate level CCNA, network associates. But if you need to, even if you upgrade with your courses itself, either in a professional level or expert level, um, uh, so we'll give them like guidelines like where you should do, and also all the necessary things. Actually, we are the one we are providing for them for the in order to excel their knowledge in the domain of networking. So the very first thing is like we are the one like an authorized service center, like learning center for Cisco certified courses. Okay, even if you search in a Google, the Cisco Learning Center in Mysore means the very first name will come is our college only. Okay, and even we used to teach in the EC department only. Okay, and this legacy would be carrying even till today, and we used to teach whatever the kinds of experiments they're framed by that CC like net Cisco. So we used to like incorporate all those experiment, also some of the things into our in our curriculum. Okay, that is a one thing, the very first point. And the next one is if you compare this software with any other software, could be any networking tool, yeah, either NS2, NS3, or any other. Okay, this would give us a better visualization and easy to understand at the beginner level. Okay, if you directly get into any other tools like NS2, NS3, or any JNS3, or so on and so forth, so you will get some quite like difficulty in order to understand the things. But here, this tool, it's very easy to understand, and even is very easy to design and even validate and verify everything. Okay, so whatever you do here with this tool is very simple. Okay, this is not tedious task. But if you see any other tool, okay, you must have some prerequisites, such as like you should have some already aware about some programming languages. So in order to implement this network concepts over there, okay, if you take NS3, NS2 or NS3, you should be aware about C++, TCL scripts, and a Python. But okay, so but here in this tool, we need not require any programming language prerequisites. Okay, because everything we do with GUI is just like a drag and drop and some set of commands, iOS commands, uh, so ISO commands like which will help you to implement this
Yes, sir. Can't hear you, sir.
Sir, not able to hear.
Yes, sir.
okay. So, okay. Where actually I'm telling. So we are the one like one authorized learning center for Cisco course, academic course. Okay, the professional course, and and also what I'm telling here, by using this tool, so the understanding would be very easy compared to all other tools like what we have. Okay, so it is completely a GUI and it's very simple to understand the basic networking concepts rather than using any other tools like what we presently the networking tools are available. Okay, NS2 or NS3 or GNS3, any other software like even Exata, Qualcomm, Qualnet. Then we have another tool called OpNet, OmNet. Okay, so and so forth. So this tool is very user friendly to use and even you can easily can understand the networking concept. Okay. Even if any one of you are interested to do this Cisco certified course, you are always welcome. I will going to register you in this Cisco Network Academy. So probably they're going to assign this course would be like having a four modules, module 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, each module would be cost of around 3,000 something. Okay, so 3,000 into 4 is like 12,000 you have to pay once. And this like once you complete module 1, then you can register for module 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and the content, it is almost like whatever things you studied in CCN, almost all the concept would comes, but the few of them is like practical oriented concept, like whatever we're going to study in this part here. Okay, how to configure a router switch and how to make that network enabled, communicating from one node to another node or something like that. Okay, so everything we are doing in this course. Okay, that's why we are going to use this software. The very first point is why we are using this tool means by if you are using this tool, you can understand this concepts very clearly. Okay, rather than using any other tool like NS2 or NS3. Okay, so today what we'll do, we'll simply set up one small network and we'll configure it, and we'll see how the packet would flow from a source to destination. If you are intended to send any message from a node in a network to another node in another network. Okay, so we'll do this by using this tool. Before that, you know that, right? So we have on top of this tool, we have menu bar, and with this is what the workspace designing of your network, and this is where you see the what you call the networking devices. All these things would be available in the bottom of this tool. Okay, so in this tool you can run this in two modes or view this in two modes. One is real-time mode and another one is simulation mode. So here you can see in the right side of the corner, bottom corner, you have two modes here. One is real-time mode and another one is simulation mode. If you click on the simulation mode, you can trace each packet moving from one hop to another hop, and also you will able to see what the data which is encapsulated in each packet. Okay, so in the simulation mode. Is that clear? In the real-time mode is just like how in the real time we used to do. So if you want to send any data, either if you're using an FTP or anything, so everything would be happen in the real time. Okay. So either you can see the ping and trace commands, all these commands you could use how we used in a real time. Okay. So this is just like a real time, how you configure a device and how you going to check whether the device is in the network or not. Okay, and where in the top you will see uh, the view of your design. Okay, so you could view your design in two ways. One is in logical mode and another one is physical mode. So the logical mode is like is going to give your topology view. Okay, uh, the network design, like the previously I've shown one network, right? The network of Manchester something, University of Manchester network, right? The same thing, like that network diagram is actually the logical network diagram. Okay, so we know that the component or a devices in a network has its own logical representation, isn't it? Its own representation, like a router used to write it a circle with a cross mark like that. Okay, and switches we used to represent them with uh, just a second. Okay. So, we come to know the representation, the logical representation for this each networking device. This is used to call them as router, right? So this is where you used to write the logical representation. Similarly, we used to write switches like this, a bidirectional, and we used to write hubs in this form. Okay. The end devices, we need not worry about end devices because in the end device we used to have varieties of categories, right? So just a second. Okay. Okay. So this is where the logical view or the topology, like how is that view designed over this space. And another one is physical view. Okay, physical view is something like in real time. If you connect a network like whatever you design in this logical view, how this is going to be appear in real time. Okay, that is what actually the physical view. So after doing the very first small experiment, so I will try to show you like what is actually the physical view and how it's going to be look. Okay. So when comes to this, the very bottom, what you could see here, you could able to get all varieties of the networking devices and all your end devices. Okay, which you need for your own network to set up your own network. Okay, so here the very first is the here you will find the family of routers. Okay, the varieties of routers. Okay, and similarly you used to get the WAN devices. Okay, a computer, a server, IP phones, printers, smart TV, tablets, so and so. And similarly, you would able to get the switches here, hubs here, and even the wireless devices, your access point or wireless controller, so on and so forth. And here you'll get the firewalls. Okay, and the last one is the cloud. Okay, cloud is something like your ISP or something used to represent them. So we will also able to get here the public cloud and DSL modem and cable modem. All these devices you would mainly get in this part and the interfaces. Okay, you'll also get the interfaces, the wide variety of interfaces we use. Here is straight through the crossover, then optical fiber, then we use your telephone copper cable, and similarly coaxial will be having. We'll be having here the coaxial, and these two are the serial interfaces. And we have similarly different USB and your IoT custom cable, and again octal cable, then console cable. All these things will be available in this category or in this part. Okay, and here you will get some thing or end devices. Even this is not only for a computer network, even you could also do some IoT experiment by using this software. Okay, so the very first task or an agenda or today's class is like, so we're going to set up a simple network, and we are assigning an IP address to that device, and we are trying to check whether you would be able to communicate with the other device in the same network, as well as checking the same with other network. Okay, a node which is belonging in other networks. Okay, so my for that requirement is, first one is I need some end devices, where the end devices is here is your system or a PC. Okay, so I have a two groups here. This group belongs to one network and this group belongs to another network. Okay, so the very first the need is the end device. Okay, So the end devices. Okay. So what is another device we need? Okay. So because since we have multiple end devices, something you need a multiplexer, or what do you call the switch. So where it's going to aggregate all your end device and connecting that to with your gateway, isn't it? So switches are what is at the layer 2 device, so which could only understand the frames. It will not understand packets. Okay. So and this also helps to connect all your end devices. Okay. Just use this connector to connect. Otherwise, you can okay. Okay. Similarly, in order to connect these devices, used to again have a switch, and we use the connectors to connect them. Okay. Is it clear? So you can assume like you go to this drawing tool palette and you can write this two, and simply you can name this as like we can insert some name board here, names here. This is your DSP lab, something like that, and this is your microcontroller lab or something MUK lab. Okay. So in order to connect these two, you can directly connect this switch to this. Okay. Since this belongs to in the same network, or else if you made this is another network and this would be another network, probably you need another device where you call them as router, right? So use always uh, a router which is a model name with 1841. Okay. So and connect these two, this with this and this and this with this. Okay, this is completely your SJC campus. Okay, your SJC campus. Okay. And we used to have this router which is placed in the where your CS department in server room. Server room. Okay, from there we used to have uh, two cables from that to your DC department. Okay, here you can write an EC department, EC department and department. Okay, in that EC department we have two labs. One is DSP lab, another one is MUP lab. In that MUP lab, we used to have series of computers or devices. So what we will do from where you stand, if you are standing at DSP lab, we used to have multiple computers. Okay, and this computers is connected to a switch which is kept in that lab itself. From there, one cable will run from that switch to which will go in and connect to a router. Okay, and the same thing at the MUPE lab also. Okay, so we have computers and which is connected to a switch, and that from the switch used to connect a cable from the switch to a router. Okay, the point is when you are sitting in the DSP lab, you would able to access the internet, right? isn't it? You could be able to access internet also, right? How this actually the packet would flow. Yeah, means our campus should connect to an internet service provider. So let us what we'll do. We'll assume. Let's take another device. Let us take a server. Okay, I'll put it here. Okay, and this router is connected to this server. We cannot have port to connect it. Okay, or what else? What we can do? We'll justly add some line cards. Um, Ethernet port. Okay, we're going to add some Ethernet ports. Then I'm connecting my router to the server. Means I just added one extra Ethernet port to my router, which is going to connect your or ISP or a server. Let us we assume this is server. It's actually a server which is present in the ISP, or you can simply I can name this as your Google server. Google server, and I'm assuming, and we are assuming this is actually an ISP. Okay, so let me draw this. Okay, and this would give better visualization. Okay, this is what this is actually is your ISP, and it's outside your network. Okay, our network is just up to where? Up to here. Up to here is our network. So this is your network, your internal network. After this is your public internet or your public server, which is hosted in the internet. Okay. So after you are designing this, means after you are designing this in your tool. Okay, the very first thing you have to decide assigning an IP address to each device. So first you have to decide what is the range of IP address we should use in your organization. The very first point here is assigning IP address to each device. Assigning an IP address, assigning an IP address to each device. Okay. This could be done in two ways. One is manually you can assign, or another one is using a DHCP service. Okay, manually is a tedious task, right? If you have 1,000 of devices, you cannot able to assign IP address to each one of them, right? 1,000 IP address we have to assigning to each devices, and that should not be repeated. Okay, when you are assigning an IP address manually, most of the time they always will be there will be mistake in assigning assigning the IP address. So what we will do, since we are doing this at very first time, we'll assign an IP address to each one of them manually first. So later on we'll use DHCP to assign IP address automatically. Okay. So in order to assign an IP address, so what I will do, I'll just make a rough sketch. So what is the range and what is the subnet mask? So I will going to write the network ID and the subnet mask, and in that network ID we will be knowing what is the range of the address, okay, what is the size of the address, and what is the valid host IPs. Okay, I should always already you are aware about, right? Okay, so let me write here is 192.168.1.0/24. This is the network which is I have written here in the DSP portion. This is the range of IP address I'm going to use in this part. Okay. Okay, and the next here, what I will do, I'm going to use 192.168.2.0/24. Whether these two networks are same or different, whether these two address network are same or different. ಹೇಳ್ರಪ್ಪ, whether those two networks address are same or different networks. Ajay,
Sir.
whether those two are same or different.
Same.
Huh?
Different.
Different. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next, Yogita. Same. Rakshit. ಯಾರು ರಕ್ಷಿತ್ ಕೆ ಎಸ್? ಹೇಳಿ ರಕ್ಷಿತ್, ಸೇಮ್ ಏನ್ರಿ ಅದು? 192.168.1.0 is this network address, and for this network address is 192.168.2.0/24 is the subnet mask. Whether these two network address are same or different. ಹೇಳಿ ರಕ್ಷಿತ್. Okay. From any others, network address are same. Prabhanjan. Prabhanjan.
Yes, sir.
How these two network are same?
Since it's /24, the
/24 is number of bits used to represent network bits, network portion in the IP address, right?
exactly, sir. So the first
24 bits means if you start from here, 8 bits, 8 bits, 8 bits. The
Yes,
first
sir.
3 octets represent network.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and if you see the address here, it is .1, here it is .2.
Sir, I mean I can see the properly the network so the third octet varies, sir.
The third octet is varied here, right?
It's not.
So
It's
then
not the same.
obviously it is a different networks, right?
Yes, sir.
Understood? If I return the same address with the subnet mask /16/16, then you
Yes,
could
right.
say this belongs to a same network, because the network size is, it is 2 to the power of 16, and 1 2 it is goes up to 64, which is a big network.
Yes, sir.
Correct. If the subnet mask what I have written is 24 and 24 here, so these two are actually a different network, because the 24 bits on in your IP address represent network portion, and the remaining 32 minus 24, 8 bits are representing your host portion, where the host is tells what is your network size. So 2 to the power of 8 is the size of your network, which is 256. Okay, so the first 3 portions actually is representing your network. Here this network is 192.168.1. Here the network is address is 192.168.2. Okay, if I change this subnet masks to 16 and 16, then these two belongs to same network. What is the network portion here after if I write this as 16? The network address, the first 2 octet represent the network. So 192.168 here, this is the network address, and here it is same 192.168. So then you can say this 2 address is belongs to a one network, isn't it? Is that clear? Prabhanjan?
Sir, clear, sir.
Okay. So this is what I've decided, like to use an IP address for this network, and this is what I would like to use an IP address for this network. And I will use any other, like let us take 172.168.1.0/24. 0/24 is the address. Otherwise, we'll go as the default address, default subnet mask. So 172.168.1.0 or 0.0. Let us take this 0.0. Which class IP address is this?
Class B.
Class B. So obviously the class B is always having a default subnet mask is 16. Okay. And what is the network address? This is 172.168. Isn't it? And all these three are different networks. Okay. This is another different network, class C, then the class B. Okay. So here in our objectives, so we used to use a different class of IP address for your ISP or any other public network. Internally, we used to use a continuous IP as well, even it would be a private or public. Obviously, all the time we used to use private IP. Okay, when you are talking from your private to public, your IP address, your private IP is get converted to a public IP. So we know that what is called NAT, right? So NAT is a network address translation. Your private IP is get converted to public from when your LAN is sending in packets to a public network or internet, and your public IP is get converted back to a private IP when you are getting a response from your public network or internet towards your private LAN. Okay, so we decided which range of IP address you should use. Okay, so what we'll do when I are assigning this IP address is very simple. You just click on this device or this PC and go to desktop option here. Okay, and here you will get an option called IP configuration. Okay, here you will get an option like assigning an IP address and the subnet mask and the default gateway. Okay, so which IP address I'm using now? In this network, I decided to use this network, which is 192.168.1.0. I'm using 192.168.1.0. 0 cannot be assigned. So I'm going to assign the IP, the address is 2. Okay, 1.2. Why I'm not assigning 1? Even I can assign the 1, but I'm going to use the IP address .1 to assign at this point because this is where you call them as a default gateway. So default gateway is responsible for receive a packet from a LAN and forward that packet to WAN or to any other LAN which is connected to that that device, the same device. Is responsible for receive the packet from a LAN. LAN means its local LAN and forward it to WAN and vice versa. Okay, that is what the gateway. So when you are using assigning an IP address to that gateway, you should use an IP address which is from the same network. Even you can use .100, 1.100, but always if you go to any network, they are always use the starting IP address to assigning the as a gateway address. Okay, I'm assigning 1.2. Okay, and I'm going to give next I will assign this gateway address, like once I assign that IP address over here to this interface. Okay, I will leave it as it is. A gateway address, I will leave it as it is as like 0.0.0.0. Okay, later I will assign it a gateway address once I assign an IP address to that gateway. Okay, I will close this. Then similarly, the same procedure you should follow for the all other devices, which is 192.168.1.3. Same. And if you click tab, you'll go to the next one and it automatically takes 255.255.255.0. This is a default gateway for class C address. And similarly, you have to do it for this also, 192.168.1.4. Okay. close. Okay, we assigned an IP address for the end devices. Okay, and similarly we do in the another side, which is 192.168.2.2 I will use, because I need the very first address 2.1 to assign here for the gateway. So for this network, this is the gateway. For this network, this is the gateway. Okay, and this is a port where it is connecting towards your public network or your internet. Okay, and similarly, I'm going to assign an IP address to this, which is 192.168.2.4, 2.3 or 2.3, then the default gateway. Okay, and similarly, I will assign an IP address to this also, server. If you click on this, you'll get the same option like server, desktop. Click on this IP configuration and assign the IP address, whatever that you choose. 2.0.2 I will use, because .1 I will going to use for the default gateway. Okay, I will close here. Okay, the next one is I need not to assign. I need not to assign any IP address to switch, because switch, it will not understand, even it will not get assigned with any IP address, because it has its own feature. It would only understand the MAC addresses. Okay, so where I should assign an IP address name, then I have to assign an IP address where you connect the switch to the router. Okay, so if you enable these labels on these interfaces, you can easily find which label is connected to which LAN network. Here, fast Ethernet 0/0 is connected to this LAN, and 0/1 is connected to this LAN, and another interface is connected to here, the outside of the network. So your public network. Okay, if you click on this, okay, it will open like this, and this is actually your back view of your router. You have two fast Ethernet, and these two are the auxiliary ports which is used to configure it. Okay, since like we are not getting into any command line way of configuration, we are doing this configuration by using the GUI only. But this is not the case in the real time. If you want to configure any of this device except this end devices, you should log in the device remotely or connecting with a console cable to configure it. Okay, through PuTTY or SSH only you should be able to configure this device. This GUI will not be available in the real-time devices. Okay, go to configuration tab here. Once I click on this router, go to configuration tab. Okay, in this configuration tab, you will be able to find here the list of interfaces. Okay, only 3 interfaces are there. So I click on this FAs, means fast Ethernet 0/0. Here you will get an option to assign an IP address. Okay, here I will assign 192.168.1.1. For this interface, I'm assigning 1.1. Okay, if I press tab, it automatically takes a default subnet mask. Okay, what I'm configuring with this GUI, the same proportionately the backend, the commands will also able to see here. IOS commands, equivalent IOS commands you would able to see here. So by using this command only, you should configure this device in real time. Okay, so later we will understand. So what are the different modes which is there in the CLI or command line or iOS command interface, and how you to configure this. Okay, so for right now, so since this is a very first experiment, we'll do with the GUI configuration only. Okay, once you configured, here you will get an option called port status. So here it is off, you should turn on it. Okay, that's very first time. If I click on this, you can see here this indication is get changed to green. Means you are enabling that port by assigning this IP address state. Okay, so that is the first point. And the same thing on the same router, you have to do it for this interface also. for this interface, which is FA0/1. I'm going there, and again you will be able to assign an IP address to that. So which is 192.168.2.1, and tab you will get the default subnet mask. Then again you click on this port status on. If once you clicked on, this is get turned to green. And similarly, another interface. In this router, I have three interface. Twos are your LAN interface, another one is WAN interface. Means the WAN interface is the interface where it is connecting towards your network, public network. And another two interfaces are the interfaces which is connecting towards your LAN. Okay. So in this Ethernet 0/1 is the name for this interface. Here you should also assign an IP address in the same network. You should not assign here is 192 because this is connected to 172.168.0.0 networks. So obviously this should be assigned with the same range of IP address. Okay, so I will assign 0/1 here. And if I press tab, it will give the default subnet mask. It automatically takes 255.255.0.0. And again, you should click on this port. So status on. Okay, this is the very first step, assigning an IP address to each devices and each interfaces. Not only at the end device, you should also assign an IP address on the router. Okay, the next task is like you should assign the default gateway to each one of them. Since in the very first time you have not did that, so next I'm assigning the default gateway. Assigning default gateway. Assigning default gateway address. So what is default gateway? What is gateway means what? What is gateway? This is the point where entering and outgoing of your packets towards your LAN or your WAN. Okay. Is it understood? Is it understood? Okay. Okay. Assigning gateway address is actually giving the address whatever you assign in the router interface. The interface which is towards that network, that LAN. Okay. Here am I assigning the IP address which is assigned there, 192.1.1. Okay. So click close. Actually, the IP address which I assigned here is 1.1/24. And similarly here, I assigned with 192.168.2.1/24. And here I assigned with 172.168.0.1/16. Yeah. So just naming, I'm putting that label to each interface to remember whatever the address I assigned. And click on this and go to the same tab like desktop, IP configuration, and assign IP address 1.1. Okay, and we just copy that address and close it. Click here, okay, and click on the same tab and you just paste that address. Close it. Okay. And similarly, you should do here also. I'm assigning this address, paste, and I'm changing this to 2.1. I'm copying this address and closing here and this and pasting this address. Here also the same address. Close it. And again, if I open this, I'm opening this address 172.58.0.1. Closing this. Okay. Is that clear? Up to here, is any doubts? Any doubts? Kiran? Kiran, yeah.
No doubts.
Okay. Deekshita left the meeting. Syed,
Understood, sir.
understood. Okay. Okay. Then the next one is I have to check whether you could able to ping. Means you have to check the reachability. Means if I want to send any data from this network to this, you should check whether I could reach that device. That device. Huh? Online. Okay, so now to check this reachability, like what we do ping followed by the destination IP address. So just click enter, you will see the response. Okay, so this what actually this 2.1 is the address of the router which I assigned at here. But if I try 2.2, so check, probably will not get the response. Yeah, I'm getting, because since these two networks is connected to same connected to same router. We know the working of the router, right? If I check the routing table, okay, the routing table of the router, check the routing table. Okay. If I check this routing table, you will see here this router is connected with three networks. Okay, one is 172.168.0.0/16 to this interface. So 192.168.1.0 to this interface and 2.0 to this interface. If any packet comes, it will take the destination address. So it will hand with the subnet mask and it will get the network address and it will check that network address whether it is the entry is present in its routing table. If the entry is present, then towards that interface, it will simply forward. Okay. Here, if you see 2.network is present at this interface, is fast Ethernet 0/1. Since so, the packet is simply forwarded to this interface so that it will reach to the proper destination. Okay. So this is how we used to verify in a real time, like to check whether I could reach that device in the network. So what you can do, so if you come to the next time when you come to college, when you connected your mobile to our network, JC network, and simultaneously if you connect your laptop also to a JC network. So once you connected, the network is assigned an IP address to even your mobile also, right? Check that IP address and use that IP address and try to ping that IP address from your laptop. So we'll get a response. Means the device can able to identify in that network by using that IP address. Okay. And do what you do the next time. If you disconnect your mobile from from the Wi-Fi, and if you're trying to ping the same IP address, you're not able to get the response. If it is not no more connected in the network, right? Isn't it? Okay. So if I'm sitting here, I'm trying to now I ping to Google server, which is named with this address 0.2. Check whether I could able to ping this server. Yes, I could able to ping because the moment the packet comes reach here, it will inspect and it will find where the destination, which is 172.168. is connected. It is connected to this this interface, and it will forward it. So it will reach this device and you will get back the response. Okay, what I will do simply here, I click on this server. Okay, I'll go to the tab called services. If here, once if you click on this service, you will get the very first service is HTTP. Okay, so here some already preloaded web HTML pages are available. Okay, even you can edit it, or you can see this HTML page in the end device or the client side. Okay, what I will do for the sake to see whether the same is displayed, what I will do, instead of world, I'm changing this to SJC. This HTML page, I'm saving this. Okay, and I will go back. Okay, and even if you want to change, you just go to that respective folder where you install the software in the program file, and go to that particular page. And if any of this images like fails is found, you just replace it. Whatever you replace, that image is going to display over here. Okay, I enabled these two, HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, so what I will do before that, like I have to check whether I could reach from this point to this point. Once you could able to reach, then obviously you should get displayed with that web page, right? I'll go to web browser. I'm opening the web browser on this device, and here I'm writing that IP address, or the IP address of that Google server, which I have signed here, which is 0.2. Enter. If I clicked on that, so you could see, so whatever the HTML file which is there, it is get displayed. Okay. If I click on this, any one of this, like here, you can see, right? I change this hello world to SJCE, right? So that is get displayed. Is it clear? So the same thing you can also verify it in the in this mode, so simulation mode. Simulation mode. Go to here. You just click change this mode from real time to simulation mode. Click on this web browser and type that URL. Sorry, this not URL, that IP address, and click enter. Once you click enter, in the background, what will happen? This device is sending an TCP connection, because HTTP use TCP as a transport layer protocol for guaranteed service, connection oriented service. And once you initiate requesting for the web page, it will first build a connection, create a connection between this client and a server. Okay, so then click forward, so that packet is forwarded to switch, and this switch is going to forward that to gateway, and that gateway is going to send that to server. Okay, and click forward, it send a response, acknowledgement for the connection request, and it will send back to that device. So here the TCP connection is established, then your HTTP request has been sent. Okay, so this blue color actually your HTTP. If you click here, if you click on this, you could see what actually the information which is kept over here. But in this tool, only you could see up to 3 layers, up to 4, I guess. So the rest application layer, you cannot see what is the data, or you can see this, all these things, the frame format, TCP, HTTP, okay, IP packet, Ethernet packet, all this information you could see. What is the destination address? What is the preamble? What is the source address? What is type data? Then checksum. Okay, and if I open my tab here, still I have not received any HTML page, right? The client has sent a request, okay, to requesting for the HTML page, the web page. So it should send that HTML along with that if any it associated with any CSS or JavaScript, it has to send back. Okay. Still it is not sent back, so it is sent and waiting for that reply. Okay. After doing this so and so, so I think probably you would see the HTML page has been sent on client, and that will be interpreted by this browser in this form. Okay, or it will be displayed here, the HTML page. And if you click on again that request as sent, okay, in order to open this small page, it has to send that request to client and get back. For every request, there will be associated connection, TCP connection. See, even still it is not open. Probably another two forwarding things. I think it may would visible. See, now it may visible. I guess. Click on here and see. Now it is that packet has reached, so it is displaying hello HAC. Is it clear? So HTTP is an unidirectional way. Okay, for every request what the client sent, so it associated with uh, its own connection. Once that response come, it will terminate the connection. For the next request, again the TCP will build another new connection, send a request and wait for a response. Once that response come, it will terminate the connection. Okay, is that clear? Is that clear? You understood? Okay, so again similarly, if you want to delete this, you'll in the right corner you will see the button like this, an arrow. If you click on this, this is what actually whatever the event we create here, everything is get recorded. Means you'll get the status, source and destination, type, whether it is successful or failed, so and so. Okay, if you simply click on this delete, it will delete the event. Okay, again you can restart the new one. Okay, if I'm trying to ping from here to here, okay, what I will do, I'll simply take a sample PDU here. I click on this, and I will check how this would be forwarded. Okay, I'm checking that. Okay, it's just an ICMP. It will send from here. It will broadcast because this address is not recorded in the switch because we already know the basic switch behaviors, right? The basic behavior of your switch is to first initially it will broadcast, later on it will do unicast. So it will broadcast it. So this will denying that packet, and this will send a response back to it since that MAC address is matched with this. Okay, and this switch is now recorded its MAC address in its MAC table, and it will send back. When the next packet comes, it will not going to broadcast it. Okay, all these things are spanning tree. So let's see this. So any doubt so far? Is that understood? So you can communicate from this to here, even if you'll be able to access this internet. So whatever you saw, this is just a basic the network and its configuration, its setup. Okay, probably later classes you would be seeing a much more different configuration and much advanced concept. So this is what you are actually the logical view. Okay, if you see the physical view, okay, if you get into this part, this is where it would looks like. So all these are devices which is placed in your real place. Okay, let us, you can see this 3 would be your DSP point, DSP lab, and probably this 2 would be your microprocessor lab, and from there it is connected to a rack. Okay, so here you could see so all these devices, switches, routers, and server is kept in one server rack or rack. Okay, this 4 is where it is connected to this end device. This is a router. Okay, and this is the point where it is connected to this router. You can see here, this router is connected to this server with this yellow cable you could find. Similarly, these 2 points are where it is connected to these 2 switches, and that from switches it is connected to an endpoint. Okay, this is what the physically the look like how you could see this configuration, this network configuration. That is what this physical mode is all about. Okay, so for the next class, you have to do this whatever I said right now in your laptop. You can find the software in the Google Classroom. I already uploaded. I uploaded actually two versions, like the same version with two different bit software support, 32-bit and 64-bit. If you click here, you'll find both for 32-bit and 64-bit operating system. So respective like your operating system, you download and install it. Okay. And whatever the diagram I just said here, written or did here, the same thing you should practice. And the same way you could also practice, like taking the same IP address, assigning them, and checking, and seeing and verifying this with both the real time and the simulation part. Okay. So once you configured and you did completed this task, save this task. Okay. And also write a one page report by writing this diagram as well as the steps that you followed to set up, doing the setup. Okay, not too much, just in one sentence. For this network, the DSP lab network, I assigned this address by going into this PC and desktop and IP configuration, and the same thing has been followed for this and this. So writing like that, you have to write one page report and scan it and upload that to a Google Classroom. Okay, is it clear? So, and last, like next 1 or 2 days, I will going to send one activity which is going to be carried out with this tool only. Okay, I'll send an activity, okay, which in a CPT file. You download it, and if you open it, it will open with this software only. Okay, once you open, it will the very first, it will show the instruction table. Okay, instruction table means what you should do in this activity, in this experiment. Okay, the same thing you should follow and you have to do it. Okay, when that instruction window is open, in that bottom it will be having check results, a button called check results. Once you did everything as per the instruction given, if you click on the check result, it will show whether you completed the task or not. Okay, if you're not completed, you have to verify it where you not completed something which is written in the instruction set. So to keep on doing it, once it's completed, you have to click on submit, and it will be graded. For that activity, the marks will be graded. Okay, and the same file you have to save it and you have to upload it. Whatever you did, then you have to save it and you have to upload it back to the classroom, and the marks would be evaluated. Okay, is it clear? For that also, one sheet of worksheet will be sent. Okay, whatever you carried out, everything you should be noted there, and the same sheet has to be scanned and have to upload it to Google Classroom. So this is where I used to conduct the whole experiments which you are going to doing in this lab. Okay, I'll stop now, and I'll be waiting for another 2 minutes to clarify your queries. And you could also see here in this window, it's actually taking your attendance. Okay, once I quit this session, I could able to download your attendance. Okay, it's automatic. I need not to type or need not to remember any names who are logged in, who are logged out. Simply once I turn off this session, this class list is automatically get downloaded. So what I will simply do, I name this file with the date and the subject code. Okay. So once it's downloaded, it will download it with this name file, with this name. So I can easily trace even your attendance. Like who are all present and who are all absent for each instruction class. And also the same thing here also I can verify it, who are all submitted, who are all not submitted, late and everything. So the next time what I will do, the moment I post this an activity on the classroom, I'll give a time for it. Okay, overall attended that within a time, they will get full marks. Overall submitting it with any due time or something, they will lose the marks in the experiment. Is that clear? And also I'll going to share the templates which I've created and how I'm going to award the marks for each experiment. Okay. Any doubts? No one can escape from any point of time here. Okay. So don't be lazy. Whatever the assignment will be given, do it properly. Hmm? Is that clear? Bhavana, any doubt?
No, sir.
Hmm? Bhavana. Okay. You understood what we discussed today? Okay. Anita Badashetty. Bindushri. Bindushri. Ankit. Kartikeya. Joyce. Kartikeya Joyce.
Yes, sir.
ಓಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಎ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಓಕೆ ವಿಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಎ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಓಕೆ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಅನ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಓಕೆ ಆರ್ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಅನ್ ಅಸೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಓಕೆ whatever the assignment I will create I just post your answers or upload your answers to it okay the way we did in the last semester. So we used to create an like question paper in the assignment and I used to send it and put to the same assignment you have to upload your answer. Right? The same way you should do it. Okay, clear? So that's for today's class. Any doubts? You can even also text me or you can also send a mail to me. Okay. So if there is no doubts, so that you can leave the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.